Hi, this is Councilmember Ramachandran with an important update about the new deal to sell the Oakland Coliseum. Unfortunately, this new deal means that the City of Oakland is going to have to make $48 million worth of cuts immediately. Yesterday on Monday morning, I found out through the news that there's a new deal in place to sell the Oakland Coliseum. While this deal is still proposed to go through, and we're going to get a $5 million increase in the purchase price, which is good, it unfortunately changed the terms of the payment so that the City of Oakland is going to have to make cuts to our budget of $48 million as soon as possible. We have entered what's called the contingency budget stage, and our city administration has confirmed that we have already started the process of making these $48 million in cuts. So why do we have to cut funds from our budget if the deal's still going through? Well, typically, in deals as complicated as this, there are often amendments to the whole deal process, and these changes can take a lot of time, and it's not entirely unexpected. The problem is, in this case, the City of Oakland and a majority of City Council, myself not included, this past summer, chose to tie this development deal to the city's budget and use funds from a deal that wasn't even finalized when the budget was passed, incorporate those funds to fund basic city services like police and fire. So that means that when the terms of the deal changes, we need to account for payments that we should have received at a given time. So this past July, since City Council chose to make such a big risk in how we budget our money, they had to include what's called a contingency budget, which stated explicitly that if $15 million didn't hit the city by September, by October 1st, we will enter what's called a contingency budget. October 1st has come and gone, and the city administration has confirmed we are now in this contingency budget. So what does a contingency budget mean? There's a whole list of possible changes to our budget that the contingency budget considers in order to save the city money. That includes cuts to our fire department and temporary closures of 4 to 5 fire stations. It includes delaying police academies. It includes cutting workforce development grants, programs like the Film Initiative, and freezing vacant staff positions. Now, will all of these cuts be made immediately? Probably not. It is up to the city administrator to decide among these list of cuts what happens first and what gets prioritized and what doesn't. Why do we have to make cuts if the deal is still going through? It's because of the terms of the payment schedule. The original deal said that we had to get the first $15 million by September. We had to get the second $15 million by November, and the third installment of $33 million by January of next year. While we're probably getting that first $15 chunk pretty soon, what we're not getting in the next several months are those other two installments of $15 million and $33 million, which is how we get $48 million. On one hand, folks who have been involved with the deal are talking about how we're getting more of the entire purchase price of $110 million sooner, but not soon enough to account for what's going on, the holes that need to be patched in our budget. And that's why $48 million worth of cuts are starting immediately. The uncomfortable truth about all of this is only the beginning. Even if every other payment for this deal goes off on time and smoothly, we are going to have to make, on top of this $48 million worth of cuts, $120+ million worth of cuts in our budget next year. And that process starts in just a few months. And that's because the City of Oakland has a massive structural deficit. So we're just in the beginning of seeing a whole lot of cuts to a whole lot of services in the City of Oakland. And it is kind of a daunting time. So which cuts are going to be prioritized first? Like I mentioned, the city administrator is the one that gets to decide what cuts happen first and what cuts happen later. But what's important for myself and a couple of other council members is having a sense of transparency. Will fire stations be shut down first? Will grants be frozen first? What's actually happening? So because of that, council members Reed, Gaio, and myself called for a special emergency meeting that was supposed to happen yesterday, Monday morning at 10 a.m. And that was supposed to be used as an opportunity to get clarity on what these cuts are looking like because we're already in this contingency budget. Unfortunately, a majority of the city council members chose to not show up to this meeting. So because we didn't have quorum and enough council members to hold a meeting, we were not able to get this information out and open in the public. But I want to make sure that we try again to get this information out there because I certainly don't want to hear about something like this in the news. I'd rather hear it out in the open from our city leaders responsible. What are your thoughts on all this? Let us know in the comments, and here's hope to a brighter fiscal future for the city of Oakland.